is rated B+.
Hey guys, welcome to the long-awaited return of the B+ Players podcast, sponsored by Strongbow.
We're back.
Not really, no. Not really. So, I guess we'll just jump straight into it. We're going to get straight onto the WrestleMania weekend. You were there.
I was there.
We saw the sign. I watched it twice in a day. Tell us, what was that like? Because that would have been awesome.
Oh man, it's like, honestly, Mania itself, mixed emotions. Like as much as it was like a lifelong dream to be there kind of thing, it was, the wrestling fan in me was like a little disappointed with what happened on the show.
Yeah.
But the overall atmosphere, being at Dallas Stadium, you can't match it, man. Like the feeling of 100,000 people, close to 100, whatever the number was,
Whatever the actual number
whatever
was,
the
yeah.
real number was, it's a unprecedented thing. Like you can't even begin to imagine what that's like. The best of the best fans were there. I know it's like 90% of the crowd there is probably the most hardcore fans ever, and it's like 10% that's like they go there for the spectacle of what Mania is. Maybe those numbers are a bit fudged, but
yeah. Well,
but yeah.
I remember making the prediction of 92,000. I think it was 387 was my prediction, and I was looking online about 5-6 days later after Mania to try and find the actual numbers.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find anything, so I'm actually thinking they probably got the 100.
I read that it was more like 92,000.
If
really.
I hit that nail on the head.
But it was pretty close, man. What you said was pretty close to what. Anyway, that's what the dirt sheets were saying. I still haven't found like a really credible source that says that they didn't crack 100,000.
Yeah.
Regardless, man, 90-odd thousand still is outrageous for a wrestling show. The crowd, like, I can't even explain it. Like, we're probably from here to maybe, I'm going to say about 30 meters away to the ring, and it looked further away. Like when I saw it back, because I watch it back on TV, it looked a lot further away, and even my photos, I didn't do it any justice to how far we really were, because we were pretty close, man. Like we definitely weren't. It wouldn't have been more than 35-40 meters at most, I would say.
That's so good. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, like we're sitting there like slightly elevated, and we're looking down, and we're just like, fuck. Like we were watching the pre-show, and we saw like Ryback, Kalisto, and the crowd was sort of filling up, and the crowd was already hot for because Ryback knows how to work a room, so they're all shitting on him, and it's like not even a little bit full, and it's very vocal, and we're like, oh shit, man, this is gonna be such an incredible atmosphere, and it was, man. It got the from the pops that like the AJs got, the AJs of the world, like KO's pop was something
huge,
that I marked out for. Like personally,
and like then you had Snoop Dogg come out for Sasha Banks, which would have I imagine exploded, because I remember watching the Snapchat.
Dude, she was like a star, man. She looked like $1 million when she came out there. They had the red confetti, like that. That was
a fucking entrance of a winner.
That was the entrance of a champion.
What were they doing?
When I saw her come out like that, like granted, I didn't think that they would. When she came out like that, I didn't think that Becky and Charlotte would be. Theirs would be as big. I thought Sasha's would have topped them all. Charlotte's was pretty big too. But when Sasha came out with Snoop, with the confetti, I turned to Leah and I said to her, Sasha's going over. Sasha's going over here. And, I still think she should have.
Absolutely. I think you and the rest of the friggin' world thinks that, because the biggest thing with it was keeping Charlotte heel, especially with that Flair distraction. It really took away from what was realistically a fantastic match.
I just think that it was arguably the match of the night, right? Arguably the match of the night. The thing with that match to me that was so frustrating was like, all right, if Charlotte's gonna win, and I understand she's got the heelish thing where Flair interferes and there's not a clear cut winner, because Charlotte's won but Flair's held Sasha back to stop the pin for whatever. I just think you're introducing a new title. You want your women's champion to look as strong as possible. Like, why would you want her to win in a disputed finish like that?
Absolutely agree.
Like, you're creating a realism to the women's division. You're bringing back a legitimacy to a title, and you're saying this is the woman that we want to represent the brand. I understand she's a heel, but you want that woman to look as strong as possible. Like, if she loses, if Sasha doesn't win in a triple threat, she's not hurt by that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Even Becky, the match that they had was so good. Flair didn't need to interfere. Like, should have just if Charlotte's gonna win, let her go over, let her look strong as hell, and then Sasha come out the following night and say, "You didn't pin me, bitch."
But that's exactly right, and you also think that even though Sasha has been out since April, we're now getting reports that she returned to action in a house show just recently.
Dude, she was my mate Ben, shout out, was watching fucking Main Event today.
Yeah.
And Sasha was on Main Event.
Yeah, so she's back in action.
So she's back.
Yeah, so
when I watched the Raw, and they were all doing the Memorial Day Raw, where they gave the tribute to the troops straight up, Sasha was on the stage in her ring gear.
Yeah.
So Main Event is shot, or Superstars on Main Event is shot before Raw. So if she's ready to compete, why isn't she... like, you know how Becky ran down and made the save?
Yeah.
In that women's match? Why wasn't it Sasha that made the save?
Well, I think they're still keeping her off tally just for a little bit longer. So you brought up the point, which is how I think it's going to go down. Sasha wasn't pinned at that match. And, you know...
She needs to say that.
But, and that's the biggest thing. And so that still sets up the feud for them later on down the track. However, Sasha went out with what we now know as a concussion. Yeah. Because they kept that very close to their chest. And I don't know why.
I heard that it was a fucking referee that knocked her out.
Yeah.
Like, she copped a knee from a ref or something.
Yeah, a ref bump or something gone wrong.
He just, like, was running into position and he kneed her in the head or something.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. All I read was... ref knees Sasha in the head. She's concussed. Like, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Anyway, like, just quickly, anyone watching that is in our group, most people that watch this will be in our group. If you are planning to go to Mania weekend ever, and Orlando is the next spot, and I highly recommend because Orlando is an amazing city. What I will say is, you don't have to ask me. Like, you can ask anyone in the group that's been to a Mania. Ask for tips because. Like Leah and I will tell you straight up, we tried our best to do it the smart way, but I think now, given the fact that I've done it once now, I'll be better off for it for the next time. Like, I'll know exactly what to book, where to look, and how to book it, and I'll do it smarter and more cost effective. Well, it's a very expensive weekend, put it that way. So I think that, given that I've done it once now, I'll know exactly what... I'll be better for it next time. And I like we say, once in a lifetime, but I tell you what, man, the feeling of being there, it's something that I have to do again.
I hate so much once
you get it, once you do it, like... And I can't imagine that there's not going to be too many of us in our group that won't be going to the Australia tour.
Yeah, I might not be because of work, but...
Well, that you can't control that. But, you know, if the people that are going, like... You'll just get a taste for what being in a wrestling crowd is, because now, like, the fans now are probably hotter than they've ever been. The crowd participation is way more than it's been in a long time.
Absolutely.
So I think that once you get a feel for that, you just will be like, oh man, this is something I've got to do. And when you go to Mania weekend, ask for tips, ask for help, because, you know, people are willing to offer. Like, I'll happily tell anyone who will listen what to do, what the best way of doing stuff is, and, you know, take my advice or don't, but I guarantee once you're in that crowd, you can have the time of your life. It's the greatest experience I've ever done in my life. I've been all over the world, travelled all over the world. I've been to the World Cup to watch soccer. Nothing beat this crowd. Like, it was the best experience of my life. It was incredible.
So there you go, WrestleMania weekend from one of the guys who were there. So before we move on to our next point, which is more recent stuff, so I'll probably just talk about the set quickly. This is my apartment. We were going to have a green screen here, but it doesn't fit in the shot, and I can't rig it. So that's why that is. But this will probably be the set for the next couple of weeks until I get everything else rigged up. But it's a lot more chill. We'll probably have some more people here. And we are going to be looking at trying to get more stuff in the Aussie indie scene, because as far as I'm aware, there's not much happening internet-wise with it other than what the individual promoters and promotions can do themselves. So if they have a third party, maybe to get some guys on here, we can have a chat, have a couple of bears, go from there. But so moving on to more recent stuff, we're looking at the AJ Styles heel turn.
That's the big angle. Like we're
man.
in sort of in a nutshell. Like this week's episode of Raw. Like to be honest, and I know it's got mixed emotions. A lot of people said it was good. A lot of people said it was bad. I was pretty underwhelmed, to be honest. The big angle is obviously AJ turning heel. Is it best for business? I mean,
it's yet to be seen.
I personally think there is a serious lack of top heels in the company, because there might be a bunch of heels that are there, but there's a real lack of top heels that are there.
Agreed.
And I guess that's why Rollins came back as a heel. But in my opinion, I just, like, I've got here, I've written a few notes. I've just got, should AJ be a heel? The only reason why I question it is because when AJ was in, anyone who watches New Japan, okay, anyone who's ever watched the Bullet Club with AJ in New Japan, and even back when Virgil Finn Balor, like he was in New Japan, these guys do not get booed as heels because they are portrayed as rock stars. They are like the rock star heel, like I'm a badass, not I'm a bad guy, I'm a badass.
Yeah, like
we do
anti-hero style.
We do group beatdowns, and that's probably as bad as we get. But we don't really cheat to win. And AJ Styles, you look at his 2 matches with Roman, last 2 pay-per-views. He made Roman look like $1 million. He makes everyone look like $1 million. His moveset, like he does the Pele kick, he does a phenomenal forearm, he does that springboard 450, he does all these amazing moves that are flips and spins and twists and kicks.
Yeah, it's like
that's a babyface moveset.
Yeah.
That's a babyface moveset. If AJ's going to be doing those moves in a feud with Cena, he's not going to get booed.
And this is the
He's
thing.
not going to get booed. You cannot tell. Like, I will watch that match, and I'm an AJ fan. And don't get me wrong. Look, I don't hate Cena. I don't hate Cena. I don't even hate Roman. Like, I'm not. I know a lot of you will disagree with that because you see a lot of my posts that are bashing Roman. I don't hate what Cena and Roman. I don't hate them as people. I just hate. I hate what they are portrayed as. Like it's that classic Punk pipe bomb where he says, "I hate this idea that you're the best because you're not the best. You're not even close to the best. Like AJ is the best. Rollins is the best. These guys are the best workers." AJ's not the best promo, okay? But Rollins is a great promo. He's great in the ring. He looks $1 million. Like, why aren't these guys babyface? They can actually portray an underdog. They're not as big as the Cenas, as the Romans of the world. Like, this is classic. If anyone watched the Shane McMahon podcast with Foley the other day, if anyone saw it, okay, it's a very interesting insight into how Vince McMahon's mind works, because back when Vince Sr. was running the show, not McMahon now, Vincent Kennedy, Vincent J. McMahon. He was running the show back in the 80s before Vincent K. McMahon took over. He said, Vince McMahon now that we know and love, right? His idea was to make Hogan the top guy. He wanted to make Hogan the top guy.
Yep.
Vincent J. McMahon said to him, how are we going to make the American people be sympathetic towards a 300-pound, 6'7" monster? Like, this guy has got to be a white meat babyface. How are we going to get heat on him? Like, how are we going to make the crowd feel sorry for this guy? He's huge, he's jacked, he's what everybody wants to be.
Yeah.
Why would anybody feel sorry for this guy in a babyface capacity? So he eventually gets control of the company, ends up being one of the best business decisions he's ever made, making
absolutely.
Hogan the top guy. However, if you look at what WCW did, they turned Hogan heel and they made disgusting amounts of money.
Oh, God.
They were the top show for 87 consecutive weeks. Bischoff will say this, he almost put them out of business. They had to change. They had to change because of what WCW did. And that is how you portray a 6'7", 300-pound monster. Hogan's not got the greatest moveset, but he's got the personality, the look, and mainly the charisma to make you lots of money as a heel. He can work both personalities, But Roman is a 6'4", 250-pound Samoan badass.
Yeah.
Make him be a heel. He should have come out after, in my opinion, after Extreme Rules. He should have come out and said, AJ Styles and I, like, we had an awesome match. We went back and forth. We did this, we did that. He's like, but I beat your boy's ass, and now I'm ready to kick the shit out of Seth Rollins too.
Yeah.
He's like, that piece of shit broke up the Shield. I'm gonna kick his ass. He's like, I don't care if you all cheer for him. That's what he should have said. He would have said, I couldn't give a shit about what this room says. Like, all the people would have been booing him. Everyone would have booed him out of the building. Next minute, Rollins' music hits. He's the babyface savior. He comes out, 210, 220 pound guy who's a little bit shorter. He's got the flashy moveset. It's easy to cheer Rollins.
Yeah.
It's easy to cheer him because he's got the personality, he's got charisma, he's got the moveset. But Roman, he's not that strong as a babyface on the microphone.
He needs to be, in my opinion, like, so you brought up a couple of interesting points. I think the first one that you brought up was AJ Styles, essentially, which is our main point here, is that he's turned heel. Now, as far as back as at least I can remember, he's never been a full-fledged heel.
No.
He never has been his whole career. He's that country hick.
In TNA, he did do it a couple of times. It never really worked. Like, when he was in Fortune and him and Flair paired up, that was interesting at times. But I feel like AJ doesn't really need a mouthpiece. Like, as much as people will disagree with that, he's not very strong on the microphone. But that is where you have to let your in-ring ability do the talking.
Exactly.
You need to say, I'm the phenomenal one. You're a badass. I know this. But I'm going to prove to the world that I can do this as the ultimate underdog.
And that's what he fucking did when he first came into WWE. He's like, I'm going to need to prove this is where I belong, blah, blah. But, so moving on from that, one of the other points he brought up was how Roman Reigns has been on the mic. In my opinion, so if we remember back pre-WrestleMania, remember the last two shows, Philly and, Boston, I believe. And the last two Raws they had before Mania. We both know how vocal the crowds are there. And Chicago, that's right, Chicago and Philly. And they kept Roman off TV. Short pre-taped promos or short vignettes was all they put for him. And in my opinion, that's how he needs to be. They booked him so fantastically in the lead up to Mania, and that there was no long-term booking though.
See, the only thing with that is that I do agree that it was smart because it didn't damage the Roman character.
No.
But I don't like this idea, and I'll touch on this when we get to Rollins returning, but I don't like this idea that he's your top guy, he's got the championship, he's your top guy, you want him for the long-term future as your top guy, but you're keeping him off TV. How are you supposed to hype a main event without your top guy on TV? That is incredibly frustrating to the fan who pays their money, who wants to go and watch the show. Who cares if they want to boo him out of the building? That is what you are paying for. You're paying to see a guy. Doesn't matter if you all these bitter veterans and stuff that I hear. Like I've seen JR post so many times, like say, I respect his opinion. I love him to death. He's my favorite announcer of all time. But to hear him say, like, if you don't like it, then just don't watch. I want to watch because it's wrestling.
Exactly.
I want to watch because it's wrestling. It's a wrestling show. I don't want to watch this idea that Roman is the best. Because he's not the best.
No.
He's not even close to the best. He's put in the best spot, and I'm meant to eat that shit up. But I reject it. I don't want to eat it because I'm watching. And look, if you ignore the world title picture, wrestling is in a great position right now.
Oh my god!
You got guys like Owens, you got AJ, you got Sami Zayn, you got Cesaro. These guys are incredible. Yeah. You got Enzo and Cass. You got the tag team division is incredible. But if you just look at the world title shot, that is meant to be the best guy in the company. No,
he's far from it.
No, it's far from it. He's not the best on the mic. He's not the best in the ring. Look, he's not a bad wrestler. I'm sick of hearing people say he's a bad wrestler.
No, he's not.
He's not a bad wrestler. He's good. He's a fair worker. He's better than half the guys on there. But he's a bad talker, and he's bad for the position they're putting him in. They are forcing him to be something that he's not. Like, WCW turned Hogan heel. It was the greatest business decision they ever made. If you look at WWE down the years, they've never really turned a top guy heel.
No.
Like they didn't turn Hogan heel. They haven't turned Cena heel. They didn't turn Reigns. They're not going to turn Reigns heel. Yes, they turned Austin heel, but the crowd rejected it. The crowd rejected it.
Because he was so over
Austin
he
said,
developed into an anti-hero.
Austin actually said, like after the WrestleMania match with The Rock, when he turns heel and he joins up with Vince, it's actually Austin. If you look at interviews over the years, he says, "I was sick of being the babyface. So I wanted to change my character."
Oh yeah.
And it didn't work. It was a terrible decision because he needed to go back to a babyface. Because after so many years of cheering for the anti-hero, they're not going to boo him. Nobody's going to boo Austin. It's fucking Austin, man.
Agreed.
Like, no one's going to boo him. It's the same as The Rock. Like, he could call me a piece of shit to my face. I still love the guy. It's like, he's a rock. He's The Rock, man. I'm not going to boo him.
Oh, yeah.
But Roman has not got that mystique. He's not got that charisma. He hasn't been built up for so many years. Like, when he was in the Shield and Seth turned on them, that's when it was so critical that Roman just let his in-ring ability do the talking.
Oh,
but instead of letting his in-ring ability do the talking, you got him doing those Looney Tunes promos.
Oh,
you
man.
got him saying sucker and succotash and all that fucking
That made me
shit
sad.
that he said that he didn't need to say, and it damaged the character so much. And now what are we doing? We're got to cheer this guy who's been put as a top babyface. He's not a babyface, no matter what you say. And the commentators, like the announce team, saying the most polarizing figure. He's not polarizing. He's booed. The only people that love him are 12-year-old boys and younger, and women. But that's what, like, women love heels because they're the bad guys. The NWO proved that.
Oh, yeah.
Women love the heels. Big sexy Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the bad guy. They love them. Men want to be them. Women want to be with them. That's what Roman Reigns could easily translate to.
And you look at his NXT promo, which the whole world has seen this one. He comes in a suit
with the
it
phone.
Completely fucking fobs off. And the thing is with that as well, is with the new Roman that we have now, where like I've said before, he needs to keep his promos a lot shorter. That promo itself was only like 2-3 minutes long, and Roman said maybe like 10 lines. And it got the point across, like, this guy's a fucking douchebag. You know, he's like, my favourite line in that promo, who wears the big watch? Who are the big dog in this house? I'm like, that's a funny heel.
When he came out on Raw the other night, and he said the same fucking promo
he's been saying for
that
like
he's been saying since Mania.
I'm not a bad guy.
I honestly,
I'm not a good guy.
like, if Rollins was not in that segment, I would have turned off the TV then and there.
But then Rollins didn't even help it.
They're
like,
let's just jump to that now. I have one last point saying, is feuding with Cena the smartest thing for AJ? I think it is. I think that I would have honestly liked to have seen them feud babyface versus babyface.
Yeah, that well-respected
only
kind
because
of thing.
if you saw that crowd, they were saying, let's go Cena, AJ Styles. They were split down the middle.
Beautiful.
That gave me goosebumps. I was like, I've been waiting for this match.
It's a dream
for
match.
so long. But turning him heel, look, I don't mind that they've turned him heel. I think that they should have turned someone else heel. Roman, he would have been a great heel. Would have been a great if Russo was still writing for WWE, he probably would have turned Cena heel and said, like, they would have been in the match, in the ring, preparing to face off with Anderson and Gallows. Then Cena stabs AJ in the back. That would have been a Russo swerve. But
oh god, if Cena joined the club,
it would have been incredible.
That hurts my chest as a wrestling fan.
It hurts.
Because next thing you know, all the club will come out in jorts and a cap with fucking sweatpants.
With Ellen shorts. Ellen DeGeneres shorts.
Oh god, those fucking pants were awful.
But, alright, let's go on to... I've got Rollins and Cena returning.
Yeah, okay, so Rollins came back at the end of Extreme Rules. We all called it.
Great
we
pop.
Did.
Great babyface pop. Massive babyface pop. Okay, Cena returning. I'll say this. As lame as this sounds, I have missed Cena. Purely because of what we have with Roman. Like, if John Cena is Hulk Hogan 2.0, then Roman Reigns is John Cena 2.0. And I will not cop another John Cena for 10 years.
Well, here's the most amazing thing about a guy like Cena returning. So Cena's been around for, at least a decade minimum at this point in time.
12 years.
He came back and he cut that promo. And that fucking showed the difference. It really did to the current guys, to him. Not saying that Rollins can't cut a good promo, he cuts a fantastic promo. Not saying Kevin Owens can't cut a bad promo, because he's a fantastic wrestler. And
I think it just goes to show how far ahead he is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, even when you think about whenever The Rock comes back, I remember when The Rock came back as the host for WrestleMania 27. At that point, it was a bad day to be a wrestling fan.
The thing that...
But it was so... like, the levels were huge.
One of the things is, like, you know, Cena returning, you know that he's going to cut a good promo. You know, like him and AJ, if their match is official at Money in the Bank, if they're actually having a singles match, that, I dare say, could very well be a match of the year contender.
I don't want a 3 pay-per-view feud.
I honestly, that's my biggest fear here.
I don't want
that Cena returning and feuding with AJ so soon, because I think that this match should not be had at Money in the Bank. This should be a SummerSlam match.
Absolutely agree.
This should be Cena finds 2 guys, like maybe the fucking Usos for the first match. No, alright, I know, alright. No, but listen, just hear me out on this for 1 second before you throw the chair.
Go for it.
Cena gets the Usos, and then AJ and the club win the first match. Okay?
Oh, we know they're going to anyway.
Then AJ and Cena, whatever the next pay-per-view is, I think it's Battleground. So they have at the next pay-per-view, they do another random match, whatever it may be, where it's like Cena with the Usos at ringside versus AJ with the club at ringside, and then ends up being like a non-finish, and then they do like Cena versus AJ at SummerSlam, and that's the marquee match. Whereas there's a clear AJ win, and then if Cena's going to get his win back, you do it on a big stage. But I just feel that this AJ feud, this is one thing that I fear. AJ returns at the Rumble, okay? He doesn't win the Rumble. The next pay-per-view, what was
that
it?
was Mania.
No, it was Roadblock.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They put that in to be a glorified house show, and it made everyone sad as a wrestling fan.
I can't remember.
AJ wasn't on it.
He wasn't on it?
No, I'm pretty sure, like, the main event we knew was, Reigns and Triple H? No, Reigns and Ambrose for a shot at a triple threat. Reigns, Ambrose, Triple H, if I remember rightly.
Was it that, or was it Y2AJ?
Oh, yes, no, you are right. There's Y2AJ.
Y2AJ versus the New Day.
Versus the New Day, you're right.
And
sorry.
Chris Jericho turns heel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he lost there, and then he went to. Then he had the feud to Mania.
At Mania, loses at Mania.
He hasn't won a pay-per-view.
He has not won a pay-per-view.
No, Extreme Rules.
No, he didn't win. He lost.
Who did he go? Who faces through?
He lost. Technically,
he faced
technically at what was at Payback?
Yeah.
He actually won 2 out of the 3 falls against Roman Reigns. Because let's see what happened here. Reigns gets counted out. AJ wins. Shane comes out. Nah, we're not having this finish. We're continuing. Reigns low blows him. That's a real babyface thing to do. He low blows him accidentally, gets DQ'd, AJ wins. Steph comes out. No, we're not finishing like that. No DQ, no count out. We need a clear winner. Reigns gets the spear, wins. So Reigns gets the win that is going to put him over. How is that win going to make you feel sorry for Roman? He just lost 2 out of 3 falls. Anyway, then we go to Extreme Rules. And that was a great match. I loved that match.
Can I say, before we get into Extreme Rules too much, that on fucking Facebook, on the Facebook group, again, it's on the shirts. If you're a fan, go check out the Facebook group, B Plus Players. It's an open group. Come join the conversation. But I made the damn post, and did I not call that fucking match where I said Club is going to beat the shit out of Usos, they're going to get helped to the back, which they were, and then it's going to do a run-in, and then the Usos come limping out. I called it! Yeah. Put me on the creative team and I'll do a better job. Because it made me angry. I knew I was going to be right, and I sat there and went, God damn it.
This is where you got to suspend logic, okay? Because if they're doing one versus all, he's teamed up with the Usos, the family versus the club, rah, 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 whatever they keep saying. Now, for me, it's like, why wouldn't, if Anderson and Gallows have just beat the Usos down in a Texas Tornado match, whatever it was called, they win the match comfortably,
which they should.
Why wouldn't they beat the shit out of them and make sure they can't interfere with the main event?
Yeah, which is what
That is one thing that it would have been like, they should do that, and then if Reigns wins, which God, I would have fucking hated if this happened, really, But if Reigns won then, by burying all three of them, at least he comes off looking strong as fuck.
Yeah,
you know,
but I'm happy that didn't happen because we need the club to be strong.
I agree.
The thing is that,
but I don't think they will, man. This is the thing. I'm so scared for this because like they've just jobbed out to Roman and his fucking Uso family, and now they've got Cena. Like is that two feuds that you want to have them straight off the bat? But they're in a marquee position.
Big enough that he can take a loss. He can take a loss of the
club. But he won't take a loss, man. He won't take a loss. We've seen it too many times. We've seen it too many times. He'll lose the first match and then win the next three.
But so here's the thing. Getting back to speaking of Cena, this is a point that I noted hugely that I think everyone probably missed. Or well, not everyone is dumb or stupid, but I fully think that Cena came back as a fucking heel. Can we point this out? Listen, hear me out. He comes back out and he cuts the infamous line, which I think is actually really, really well done for a heel turn, is for him to come back and say, if this new era wants a stage in WWE, they got to go through me. Who the fuck do you think you are? Big hoss in the house saying,
dude, I actually, when he said it, I just laughed and I said, they got to come through me, more like you've got to bury all of them.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah.
Like, that's it.
But I think that was so fucking heely though. It's like, who are you?
One thing I will say is that on Seth and Cena returning, I think it would have made more sense for Seth to return as a face. I think it would have made more sense logically.
We're looking at the double turn though.
Exactly, yeah.
We're looking for it.
And I would have thought it would have made more sense if you hold off on AJ until SummerSlam, and if Cena had come out that 6-man tag match, right, with the main event with the Money in the Bank contenders.
Yep.
If at the end of the match Cena came out because they just ended in an all-in brawl, and then they get the ladder and they're fucking around and they're just being idiots and they're all just beating each other up. Cena's music hits. He comes out. He declares that he wants to be in the Money in the Bank match, and then they grant it. He's the 7th man, and then AJ came out and said on the next Raw something like Cena just comes back and he declares himself in the match. I want a match against John Cena, and says if I beat Cena, I get to be in the match too. And then they could have led to a storyline where neither Cena or AJ wins the Money in the Bank. Someone else does, and then Cena and AJ start a feud out of that. You know what I mean?
See, here's how I would look at it.
That would have been cool.
That's nice. I like that. I'm actually looking more towards the brand split is when they sort of should start the feud.
Yeah.
So with the upcoming brand split, which we will get to, we promise.
Next.
But where I want the brand split to come in and say, pop its ugly head up and say, how's your father? How's everything going? We're splitting the team. But then we have the roster breakdown because people aren't happy where they are.
Yeah.
And then we go to the infamous Orton and Cena taking on the whole roster. But we want it to be. But here's what I want. Here's what I want, though. Here's what I want. It's like it's an all-in brawl. It's an all-in brawl. Then the ring is cleared, and then next thing you know, there's two guys back to back who are fighting people off. It's AJ and Cena. And then they both turn around and look at each other. And it's the first time that these two have been in the ring together.
Yeah.
The crowd would go mental, and you see, imagine everyone just kind of sitting there going, "Whoa, hang on, big dogs are in." And then they kind of look at each other and start nodding. And do that whole all right thing, and then they start going for it, almost like a Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens kind of deal, minus the backstory. I think that would be an interesting way to do it because then
let's just jump to the brand split.
Throwing them in, but yeah, I agree. Brand split.
Okay.
Oof.
Again, is it best for business? I think
Absolutely.
it is.
Absolutely.
I think it is. But in saying that, it only depends on it. It will be best for business depending on how they push SmackDown in a long term. Because if it's just going to be like a 1 year, 2 year thing where they take it seriously for 18 months and then they just say, oh, we're having a Raw Super Show where SmackDown stars can come on Raw, it's just going to fade out. It's going to be what happened last time, and then they'll just get lazy and they won't even care anymore. One of my favourite things of the year, being a fan from way back in the day when the draft was first originated, every year when they did the draft show, it was my favourite episode. My favourite episode of Raw. The SmackDown stars come to Raw for one night, they do the draft, and then how much more legitimacy would it do for the company if they did the first year, they do this inaugural draft, they do it on Raw, and then next year they do the draft on SmackDown. And they say, you've been drafted to here, you've been drafted to there. Every show gets like 3 or 4 picks, maybe. Like everyone gets four drafts. So far, I've heard that the announced teams, just quickly to touch on this, will be the current Raw team. So it's JBL, Michael Cole, Byron Saxton, and then the SmackDown team will be King, Mauro Ranallo, and Corey Graves. I heard he's getting a call up.
Corey Graves would be fantastic with Mauro Ranallo.
I heard Graves getting a call up.
Good. I like that.
That's my mail anyway.
I love this whole brand split idea. I think it's absolutely fantastic and it's amazing and it needs to happen. But here's a point that I've noted that actually I think a lot of people have missed, to be perfectly honest, is how fucking angry would you be if you were one of these wrestlers, Damien Sandow, Cody Rhodes, who've just been released from the company,
you know what
only
I mean?
to find out that you could have had a shot because they're doing a brand split.
I'll be honest with you, man. I think they knew. I think they would have had to know because there's no way. Maybe not Sandow. Maybe not those guys that got released in the first batch of people. Those first 8 stars that got released. But a guy like Cody Rhodes, and then like 2 days or 3 days or 4 days even later, it's announced that they're doing a brand split. In my opinion, he would have said to them, "I want to release," and they would have said, "Look, man, just so you know, we got a brand split coming up." You know, I feel like that's particularly just based on his last name alone, they would have told him that they were doing this,
absolutely
and he would have said, Cody. Given what I've read, like that statement that he wrote about everything, I was like, dude, respect, man. Like, fucking good for you. Like, good for you taking your career seriously. You're a pro wrestler. You're so much better than this.
And the very first thing he's doing out of WWE, a match with fucking Kurt Angle.
How good is it?
Oh! I can't wait to see that.
When I read that, I thought to myself, he must have known that the brand split was coming. But credit to him for sticking to his gun and saying, no, I want to go out, I want to establish myself all around the world, and I want you to want me back. Like,
he wants to be the guy that they want to be that guy
that they say, we fucked up, we want you back, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic way to put it, man.
Look, I think a guy like Cody can work in like a Ring of Honor. He's got enough charisma to go to a New Japan and get over.
Yeah.
But I know he hasn't been officially released yet. Ryback, just to quickly touch on this, I hate Ryback, right? I'm not
a Ryback fan.
I'm not a Ryback
guy.
fan.
I like the big guy.
I've gained a bit of respect for him for how much he trolls the crowd. Like, I love that. But because like I'm an avid fucking CM Punk fan, and whenever he takes the piss and he G's up the crowd, fuck man, it kills me so much that I just think this guy is so good. Like he's working me so good. I'm getting so frustrated.
It's
here.
Kevin Owens level troll. It's fantastic.
But imagine a guy like Ryback in Japan. He would go straight to the fucking top. Like he's got that kind of look to him.
Yeah, he does have that monster thing.
They would see him and go, ooh, this guy's fucking huge.
My concern is though, I think just based on his personality though, I honestly think Ryback is much more suited to lucha. He's slightly more theatrical.
Yeah, maybe.
In comparison to a hard style.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the argument could be, he injures a lot of people because he's not a safe wrestler, but that makes him hard style. It's like, no. Hard style is where you don't pull it as much in official wrestling. You're just stiff as fuck. But theatrical wise, like Lucha Underground perfectly suits people like John Morrison or Johnny Mundo, who is currently in Lucha, and he's doing fantastically. And apparently Vince wants him back. And because he's fucked up there. Like that's a great look.
Do you think that Raw will be a show for the old guard and SmackDown will be the new era, or do you think that it'll be much for muchness?
I want the new era spread across both brands. If they're going to start ushering it, they've coined it. They are, in all honesty, I think WWE's kind of fucked themselves by coining it and saying there's a new era. For
my thing, that I think they're going to put Shane control SmackDown.
They fucking better.
They're going to be Steph is the face that runs the place, not John Cena. Like Steph will be the one who's on Raw, and Shane is the new era guy. Shane's back. He's got a fresh outlook on the business. They'll put him on SmackDown. My only fear is that, and it's not so much a fear because, look, I wouldn't complain if this happened too much, but it would be a little bit frustrating. Because I feel like they will go, and I think that they should have Cena and Roman on different shows. But in saying that, I have this fear that they're going to go Cena Reigns on Raw, and then they're going to put a few of the top guys on Raw with them, but it's going to be a few of the guys that are like the upper mid card, like Kevin Owens, that are like, they're just there to make Cena and Roman look great.
Oh,
you know?
Don't say
But then
that.
SmackDown is going to be like the workhorse one, where it's going to be like the
Your
Dean Ambrose,
Dean
the Ziggler,
yep.
the AJ Styles and
Yep.
the Club.
Rollins,
like,
that sort of guy.
I feel like Rollins is going to be on Raw. I don't see. I think if Roman and
Where
Rollins are
Roman goes, I
separated,
think Rollins will go.
he has to go. If Rollins and Roman aren't on the same show, I think they fucked up big time.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Roman and Seth have to be.
But
on the
then
same
again, you could always argue the fact that if they split them, then you've got brand versus brand, and not just friend versus friend versus.
I feel like that's
Shield versus Shield.
I feel like Roman and Seth, and the commentators have said this. It's a match worthy of a WrestleMania main event. That match should drag out all year. That should be a feud, a rivalry that goes all year. Whether the title's involved or not, that can carry on all year. Like, in my opinion.
I think I accidentally booked something here. This is how they're going to do the Shield triple threat. Where's Ambrose?
Ambrose going to win the.
He's going to win the Money in the Bank.
Why
did I not just see that till now?
I think I actually was saying this the other day, that I think that who was it? Emily, actually, in the group. She posted a comment on the. I think someone did a Money in the Bank thread, like what they think will happen.
Yeah.
And she ended up saying something which I thought was a brilliant. I never even thought of this, but having Ambrose win the Money in the Bank and then cashing in on the main event, which is Roman and Seth as the main event for the title,
the same night,
and then Ambrose on, because it's never been done to my knowledge that on the same night someone's won the Money in the Bank and cashed in on the same night. I don't think it's ever been done.
I think that's a big claim. You might be right. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't remember it ever happening.
I
could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
The first one was Punk, and then he cashed in later. Second one was Punk again, if I remember rightly.
No, first Money in the Bank winner was RVD.
Oh, all right, there you go. Yeah,
there you go.
Same night. I'll drink to that.
No, but on the same night, I don't remember it ever happening. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But
that is internet.
what I say is, imagine if Ambrose wins, and then Roman and Seth have just fucked each other up, and then out of nowhere Ambrose comes out, dirty deeds on both of them, pins. Even if he pins Seth, who cares if he pins?
God,
Seth?
if he pinned them both.
Imagine if he, it'd be incredible, right? But he pins him, and then Roman comes out and he says, "Well done, like you took an opportunity, you've done good, rah rah rah." And then Seth says, "Wait a minute, that's bullshit. Like, I didn't really get my rematch." And then Steph or Shane comes out and says, "No, Seth, look, you didn't win, so now you have to go to the back of the queue." Mm-hmm. And then at the next pay-per-view, Ambrose retains to some dodgy finish.
I think it should be retains against Reigns clean.
Yeah, no, he won't though.
He won't.
No
but
one,
it'd be great.
No one. Put it this way: nobody will beat Reigns clean for the rest of the year until maybe WrestleMania. That's
what
my
are you
prediction.
What are you putting at stake in here?
Because remember my dick off.
You eat your dick off? Because you said this about McGregor and fucking Mayweather, alright? That looking like Gibbs has got your number, right?
No, it's freaking Brad Smith. Every time a post comes out, he fucking tags me in it. The bastard.
Yeah, big Brady Smith. They're playing tonight too.
Yeah,
shout out.
Yeah, good luck, boys. No, but look, if I honestly believe that is a very effective way of booking a Shield triple threat. Whether it happens at SummerSlam or Mania, I think the Shield triple threat is a Mania match. But in saying that, we've had a lot of triple threat Mania main events in the recent years. So I know this year's wasn't, but I feel like it's happened a few times in recent years that it could be a SummerSlam match. They could build it up to SummerSlam. Shield triple threat for SummerSlam. AJ Cena on the same card.
You know what I would love to
Owens
see?
and Zayn on the same card.
Long-term booking wise is Shield triple threat at Mania, right? So let's do some advanced booking here. Shield triple threat at Mania. Whoever wins wins, but then afterwards they all get up as one unit. The Shield is back together, and the people who come out to attack them to close out Mania.
NWO?
No, our boys in the club.
Yeah.
The club versus the Shield.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
A lot of people have been saying it, but I'll be honest, man.
I would like that.
I'm not a big fan of faction feuds. I don't like it. Like, I feel like a faction should be dominant for a long time. Like the New Day have been tag champs for a long time.
They've been tag champs for over a year now, haven't they?
Exactly. Like, I feel like it's how the NWO were originally booked, DX were booked, you know. They got to stay dominant for a long period of time.
Oh God,
the Shield were booked, you know.
With Sting and Triple H, though, that made me want to cut myself. That's awful.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean. Like, for long periods of time, they got to stay dominant. Like, I hate this faction versus faction because somebody loses and the other faction looks like a piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's my opinion.
So what do we got next?
On the brand split, what do you think's going to happen with the titles? Do you think that there's going to be one world champion, or do you think there's going to be two?
Look, honestly, I'd love to see, and me and the rest of the internet, me and the rest of the internet agree that we should be bringing back the big gold belt. I would love to see it back. It's not happening. It's not happening, but I'd like to see it. But also, I hate this idea of the woman's belt, but the red one for Raw, the blue one for SmackDown. No, that's not happening either. I fully, 100% will call it right now. You've got World Championship up the top going across both. You've got Intercontinental on SmackDown because it's more prestigious than the US title, where it's going to go on Raw right now. So this is the way I see it. So you got SmackDown, boom. I still stick by my whole there should be a women's title and a Divas title. I still fully believe that should be a thing, because only for the fact that the shittier wrestlers from the last 6 to 7 years of female wrestlers should be going for the Divas title, and the ones who are more prominent these days coming up for the main roster, like your Dana Brooks,
should be called women.
Agree.
And
should
respected.
Should be going for that women's title.
The only thing I say is, okay, I feel like I would love to see 2 women's divisions. However, I don't feel there's enough depth at the moment.
Not right now. No, I agree.
Everyone fit, and everyone called up. I could easily see 2 women's divisions. However, what I would really like to see is, I said this in the group chat that would have been in the group. Sorry, that it would have been great to see a women's Money in the Bank, a first ever women's Money in the Bank match. But again, there's too many injuries. Yeah. Too many injuries and not enough depth. Although I feel like a fatal 4-way Money in the Bank would have been cool to see.
Or even just a contract.
Yeah, dude. You know? Look, I feel like a women's ladder match could be a thing. Like, it should be a thing.
It'd be fantastic. Why couldn't it be?
Why can't it be a thing? It's a fucking great idea. But it's something different, something that they've never done before. Look, I'm sure that it's been in the works, but they probably had enough injuries that they said, look, we can't do it this year. But I'd like to see, if they're going to bring a new title up, I'd like to see a women's tag team division. Like, I think that it gives the women, it's like, if you're not in the title picture, at least you've got something else to focus on.
I actually agree with you on this, because I honestly often find that in the women's division, pairs just get thrown together for no reason. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? Nothing. Okay, let's be friends. You know. But the only issue I see with any sort of women's thing is that they'll always do the backyards, like the background schoolyard bullshit, bitching.
Yeah.
They always do it. They always do
it. I think that at the moment with the brand split, like I think that if they have one women's title and one world's title, and one tag team title, I feel like that is best for business. Purely because it makes those titles more prestigious. If there's only one world champion, and 1 month he defends it to a Raw superstar, and the next month he defends it to a SmackDown superstar, and then 1 month she defends it to a Raw superstar, the next month she defends it to a SmackDown superstar,
I 100% agree.
It means that title is more prestigious. So instead of having, say, Raw has the world title 1 month, then the SmackDown main event of the pay-per-view is a number 1 contenders match.
That's a great point. And on that though, do you think they're going to bring back our pay-per-views, our brand-specific pay-per-views?
I don't think so.
You not think we're not going to see backlash and shit like that again?
I think it hurts the brand. I think it hurt because it'll hurt the buy rate of specific pay-per-views. Imagine if you're buying a pay-per-view that you know John Cena's not on. I know that John Cena's not your favourite or my favourite, but he's a draw. He's a draw. So imagine if you buy a pay-per-view that Roman Reigns is on, but then you know 2 days later or a week later, John Cena's going to be in a SmackDown pay-per-view. You're going to buy the SmackDown pay-per-view.
I mean in the sense that 1 month it's SmackDown, the next month it's Raw. I think I like this. I like this idea only for the fact that it gives creative more Tom storylines. And even though that's not the best thing from right now, because fuck, they are doing a horrible job doing a whole storyline in a week. But it would also do the big thing that we've read about a while back about rest rates of superstars. If you have a pay-per-view 1 month for SmackDown, 1 month for Raw, 1 month for SmackDown, you've got a 2 month gap there to build a feud
I feel like
and to rescue superstars.
look, I feel like what they said on Raw when the New Day came out and they cut their promo with Shane and Seth.
Split them up.
Like, I feel like genuinely what they said in the ring. They said we're not sure. We haven't thought of it. I think that's true, man, and that's scary. Like they're 3-4 weeks away from doing it, and they haven't even thought about it yet.
I think they rushed it.
So
they rushed the brand split. They wanted to go.
But you know what it was, man? It was this. It's Vince McMahon. How can we get people tuning into the show? Oh, let's just do a brand split. Like, he would have just done that. And it's like Shane and Steph would have said, you know, Dad, are you sure that we can do this?
Yo, we need a year, Dad. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And the only reason, in my opinion, why he's doing it right now, it's been brought up quite often actually in the internet right now, is that wrestling is going to get a lot less people watching wrestling right now because of the NBA and NHL playoffs.
Correct.
Currently on
But
television.
you know what? Funnily enough, just throwing it out there, on those ratings that you just mentioned, I read the ratings for this past week's Raw.
Yep.
Right?
Terrible.
The last since Mania, the last hour of Raw has been under 3 million viewers. Okay.
Yeah.
This week, when Cena returned, it stayed over 3 million.
Yeah.
Stayed over.
And that annoys me because, like, don't get me wrong, and like you said, you don't hate Cena, you hate what he is. Like, and they will never.
Please, I like Cena a lot more than I like Reigns.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Cena will never be heel. I want everyone who ever wants him to turn heel to understand that right now. And yes, he said he's open to it multiple times. And yes, he's made the troll jokes like, oh, they said I'd be out for 9, but I'm back in 5. Guess I turned heel. Ha ha ha. Fuck you, Cena.
I love that. That was so funny.
That's a fantastic tweet.
Yeah.
But like, he will never turn heel, and it's only based on what he does on the outside of wrestling. Everything that he does in the Starlight Foundation and that sort of stuff is the most honest to God best work that wrestling has ever done. Granting all these wishes and all that sort of stuff. Not Starlight, sorry, Make-A-Wish. Doing all that stuff is literally like the nicest, most like genuine thing a bloke can do. Not only that, him giving these background stories you always hear Cena saying, you know, you are a young star, you know, here's what I recommend you should do, rah, rah, rah. Like, he doesn't even
eat your vegetables, say your prayers.
Yeah, you know, like, eat your vitamins and suplex, you know.
John Cena, aka Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, exactly, but like, in this day and age of like social media awareness where we're so much more involved as you know, fans.
I just say
he's a great guy.
He is. He's a great ambassador. He's brewing for the company. He has been for a long time.
He will eventually go to the point where he is going to make the transition from wrestler to manager to
president,
general manager to Hall of Famer to fucking Triple H's spot. He's the next Triple H
to King of the World.
Yeah,
that's what he'll be.
Yeah. So what do we got? So next up we got.
I got the women's division. I just think.
All right, we need to touch on this because it's not dire, but right now you've got your 3 top stars right now. So we've got Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Charlotte. I'm sorry to fans of anyone else in the women's division right now, but honestly, they're the only 3 names you need to care about.
Only
3 going anywhere.
Anyone who thinks that Natalya will ever get a run as the women's champ, it's not going to happen. Anyone who thinks that Dana Brooke is anything more than a stand-in for Emma, basically, and that's sad to say because Emma was doing very well until she got injured.
Our girl,
shout out to our home girl. But
poor darling. Mate, look, here's
I feel like Paige is being misused. I feel like Sasha's being misused. I feel like Becky's being misused. I feel like Charlotte. Why did Steph? I understand that Stephanie McMahon has a book coming out in a couple of weeks, and she's trying to be a babyface so she can get people saying, "Oh yeah, I'll buy Stephanie's book." But you cannot speak to your women's champion on national TV the way that she spoke to her, saying you're a disgrace, you're disgusting, like what you did to your father is disgusting, you don't give a damn about anyone but yourself, you're selfish, rah rah rah. She's not getting herself over as a babyface, she's burying Charlotte as a heel. What would have been better? What would have been better is if she said all that stuff and then Charlotte just slapped her in the face.
Yeah.
While she was standing there. Slap her in the face, and then Dana Brooke just come out of nowhere and beat the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Dana Brooke, say, if they just did that, like if she said all the crap that she had to say, and then she slapped her, and then Dana Brooke beat the shit out of her, then you're getting yourself over as a heel, because everyone would have said, oh, wait a sec, Steph genuinely cares about Ric Flair. Like, she's being a sympathetic babyface. But these girls just beat the shit out of her. They're heels. Like, they're bad guys. Like, right now we're confused because for the last 2 years, 3 years since the Authority's been around, Steph has been a heel.
Yeah.
And she's been saying she doesn't care what the fans think. It's not best for business what the fans think. Only what's best is what she thinks. And now out of nowhere she's saying, that's despicable, you're disgusting, I care what all these people think. No, you can't confuse the fans like that. And if you're gonna confuse them, make it very clear that Charlotte is the heel by at least spitting in her face or something heelish. Like, don't just let her get buried like that. I understand they came out and they gave Natty a beatdown, but at this point in the game, does anybody really care about Natty?
I love Natty.
Okay.
I love Natty. Like,
You love Natty, but imagine if they beat down Becky Lynch like that.
I see. I love Becky more.
See?
Yeah.
If they did that to Becky Lynch and Sasha made the save, that would have been way more effective. But Natty is like the veteran. It's like, okay, she's getting beat down. It sucks. Imagine if Paige was getting beat down and Becky made the save.
Yeah.
That would have been way more effective because it's two new top girls that you care about. Natty is the old guard. It's like, I love Natty. She's a good wrestler. She's great. She does the sharpshooter. I love it. You know, it's great. But she's not Natty from 10 years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, whenever it was that she debuted. She is the old guard. She's the old guard. We don't care about the old guard. We want new, fresh faces. We want a new era. That's what you've promised us. That's what we want. You know, get someone else out there getting their ass kicked. Make someone new make the save.
I think so.
I don't know.
Okay, so
maybe I'm just looking too far into it. I just think that it could have been way more effective.
I think that they did the Charlotte Flair split wrong, in my opinion. I think there was a missed opportunity to turn her face. Even though Charlotte plays an absolutely fucking fantastic heel right now, she could have gone. There was two ways they could have gone. All right, and
the Ric
way
Flair
they went
segment
was wrong.
The in-ring segment with Flair last week.
It was awkward.
I was just about to say, it was cringeworthy.
Because what happened is, as far as I'm
She's
aware...
such a nice person in real life. It's like...
Well, I actually read online that they didn't tell Rick that she was going to say that to him. And, okay, WWE, you will never see this, but for the love of fuck, please, someone show this to someone who will get them to see this, because holy fuck. Okay, Ric Flair and his son and everything that happened with that, which was horrible and like the worst thing. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And then you put him on TV and back in front of cameras and shit.
And you have Charlotte say, I
wish
you're dead.
Well, this is even prior to that, which to the point where he was drinking so fucking goddamn much to cope with it, which was his coping mechanism, that he ended up accidentally getting JR fired, which was awful. And then now, you go ahead and you get his only surviving child to...
No, he's got another son as well.
Well, okay, one of his more successful, apologies to the other Flair child, but... To say, I wish you were dead. Why? What are you doing to this poor man? He's your multiple time highest multiple champion person. Woo! Like fuck. Wrestling. Please stop beating on Flair. Like holy crap! Like this man has been through so much, and then they keep shitting on him. Like the way they should have done the split was, I beat you or I beat whoever without you helping. You tried to interrupt me. The face turn could have been she slaps whoever. Like when Dana Brooke come down, slaps Dana Brooke and goes, "What are you doing? Get away from me!" Then looks at Dana and goes, "This is your fault." Slaps him or spits on him or whatever, and go, "Get out of my sight! You know I hate you." And then turns around and proceeds to win.
That would have been nice.
That would have been great.
If it led to dissension, if Natty won the match, but it was like a DQ finish because Flair got Charlotte DQ'd or something by accident, and then Charlotte turns around and says, "What are you doing? You're useless. You know you're not the dirtiest player. I'm the dirtiest player."
Exactly. That would
slapped
have been
him,
a more heel way to go. That was.
But I feel like it was just cheap heat, like saying you wish you're dead. The same thing that Paige did with her brother. Like your brother didn't have much fight in him. You know, you don't need to say that stuff. You don't need to say that. Like, okay, you wish he was dead. He actually is dead. Don't fucking say that stuff. It doesn't need to be said.
No, it doesn't. Like
anyway,
this is a PG era.
On that note, the women's division, like it had.
It lacks depth.
It needs something.
It lacks depth in, and as terrible as it's going to sound to say, it lacks depth in talented women wrestlers. So like you've got Paige, fantastic wrestler, being well misused as you have stated. And I swear to God, WWE, if you fucking make this whole puppy mummy bullshit into a storyline, I'm gonna lose it. Like I'm gonna be mad. All right, but
just a quick cheers to Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah,
you are the fucking
good.
man.
Yeah, you're stealing my future ex-wife, you bastard. But like I honestly think that right now it's lacking the depth of talented women wrestlers, and I'm sorry to the likes of Alicia Fox, Naomi, who I believe is gone anyway. You know, like those kind of girls. These are fantastic in.
It was Cameron that got released, not Naomi.
Oh, Cameron. Well, there you go. So
Naomi's injured.
Naomi and like the other girls, like I'm sorry. Apparently, he's really great on Total Divas, but please just stay there and stay out of a ring. Because right now, you know, you've got the up and comers who are really need the spotlight and are getting it. And they're being supported by the likes of the old guard. As much as you don't want to hear about the old guard, but they're there, like Jericho, to just put talent over. Even though Jericho didn't put Styles over, and in my honest opinion, that was only because it was WCW and TNA versus WWE again, and Vince just went, you know, fuck you, because WWE is better.
Oh man, I can't even fathom that loss. That
One
eight.
more?
Yeah, sure.
I get one more. Yeah.
One more.
One more.
One more for the podcast. Let's go to new titles. Do you think there will be new titles?
New titles. Look, I've said it once and I'll say it a million times. I want that hardcore title back, and I want Ambrose to bring it back.
It's
definitely
not going to happen in a PG era.
It's not.
Definitely not going to happen.
Actually, speaking on that point, this is something I actually did want to talk to you about, because you are a man of like-minded issues with myself when it comes to wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
So I read an article about the hardcore, essentially, asylum match, right? This is one point I've been itching to talk to you about since you've gotten back. That for the new fans, this is the article I read, this is the way they basically put it. It's saying for the new fans who've only been watching wrestling, say, post-2009 era for the last, 5-6 years, or 6-7 years, they've never seen something that hardcore. Tax had been gone for years. And for you, I can see you shaking your head already, and I did the same thing. I legitimately fell asleep watching this match. And then when I heard the crowd pop, I opened my eyes again, because what the fuck? There was Tax. Now, that is the most hardcore that wrestling has gotten in a very long time. I think a minimum of 5 years.
Aside from Shane jumping off the cell.
Okay. Well, that was a thing. But
let's
when it comes to
let's look at this objectively, okay?
Let's
look at it. If you are trying to make a hardcore match, I understand that wrestling is fake. It's not fake. It's you know what I mean. It's predetermined. Okay?
If you say wrestling is fake, so is Breaking Bad. I hope you get cancer.
Correct. But you know what I mean by that. Like it's predetermined.
It's predetermined.
It's not like the matches and the beatings that they take is not fake. It's predetermined. They know how to take a fall. It still fucking hurts. It still hurts. All right. But we know this stuff already. The thing that is the most frustrating here is kayfabe is dead. Right? Okay, we know that. But you climb a cage to get a weapon.
I know where you're going.
All the weapons are on the ground. They've gotten every weapon. Okay, they got the barbed wire 2x4, and they got the kendo stick. They got everything.
And then they just
you're on the floor.
And then left.
Every weapon's on the floor. Like I forget who it was, but one of them tried to use the barbed wire 2x4, and it didn't work.
Jericho.
And then it sat on the fucking apron for about 5 to 8 minutes, unused. And rather than use that, they use other weapons.
Yes.
In a world where everything is legal and you're in an asylum match and you can use anything you want, that is clearly the most useful weapon in that match. You decide to not use that weapon and go for a kendo stick, or worse, a straitjacket.
And the worst thing was, as well, as much as I hate JBL, I'm sorry, I'm that guy who hates JBL as a commentator, but even he pointed out, why is he going up to get the bucket? There's a 2x4 right there. I was just like, I hate you, JBL, but that's fantastic line.
I just say,
God,
okay,
match.
with JBL, I will say this, I don't hate JBL as a commentator, I hate that he puts himself over rather than the talent.
Agreed.
That's what I hate. But that was the whole post thread that came out, I think it was today or yesterday. Someone that said,
days back saying JBL fans.
JBL, you fucking suck, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the girls in the group that said it.
Justina.
And I was like, I can't remember, man, but it was like, I agreed. Like, I'm not a fan of him because he tries to bury the talent rather than, like, he should be promoting the talent and not putting himself over. He doesn't need to get over. We know who he is. He's a wrestling god. You know, we don't need to know who he is.
He needs to be a manager.
I will say, okay, new titles. Fuck new titles.
No, don't.
If they do split up the world championship, I think it'll be damaging. I think that they only unified the titles a couple of years ago. I think it was around, I'm going to say 20 months ago, roughly.
Yeah.
Where they unified it.
Just under 2 years.
I think that it's too soon to break them up. But look, I'm excited. I'm excited about the brand split.
Do you reckon they'll bring back individual money? No, because they don't have new titles. They'll bring back individual money in the banks again.
I hope not. I like the fact that there's one money in the bank.
I do. I would prefer the old school rules they had, where if you had a money in the bank title, you could cash in on any title you wanted. I liked that. Like, I remember I was watching today, catching up on some old wrestling stuff, and watched when CM Punk wanted to cash in on Maurice when she was a Diva title. Like, did you remember that segment?
No.
Okay, so it was back when Maurice was Divas champion, and CM Punk, I think it was the second reign he had as Mr. Money in the Bank, and Maurice is cutting a promo with, of all people, Josh Matthews, when Josh Matthews used to be a backstage interviewer, and CM Punk walks by with the Money in the Bank, and he kind of stops and looks at Maurice's title, and she's like, oh, I get it a lot, ha ha ha, and then Josh Matthews is like, I don't think that's what he's looking at, and then CM Punk's like, and too much glitter, and keeps walking. I was just like, oh,
I don't remember that.
Oh, I think it was actually cut from air, but it still exists somewhere online.
I remember that. That's hilarious.
It's fucking fantastic. But no, I'm 100% in agreement with you. No new title. I don't want to see one.
Okay. I think that if anything new is going to happen, it should just be like a women's tag team or something like that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have said cruiserweight title.
Don't want to see it.
Shout out to Wayne for saying that. I do agree with you. I originally was saying that I would like to see the cruiserweight division back, but you're right. It creates a glass ceiling for guys like the Nevilles of the world. You know what? To a degree, guys like Balor and AJ Styles, where if they have a cruiserweight division,
they will never
never be the world champion if that happens. So fair enough. They do the cruiserweight series. The winner gets a trophy, and then you know what? They should get a trophy and a world title shot. That would be great if they do that. Or a title shot of their choosing, or something like that.
I want more prominence given to this Andre the Giant thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, what has it done for Corbin? Absolutely nothing.
It's stuck him in a never-ending cycle.
But in fairness, what did it do for Cesaro?
I'm a big Corbin guy. I'm a massive Corbin guy.
Look, man, I'm not really a big Corbin guy. I just think that he's someone that you developed. Like WWE developed him. You know, he wasn't a wrestling guy. He came to wrestling. They developed him. They turned him into this monster on NXT. Why not do something with him?
Agreed.
Like have him. Don't make Rusev win the US title again. Make Corbin win the US title.
I don't think the Corbin character fits the US title though, because
it's just a title, man. He could just say, "Look, I've been here for 1 month and I'm already the US champion. Imagine what I'm going to do in 6 months." You know, like, it could have been something cool.
I would like him more intercontinental-wise, because even saying what you just said, saying it's just a title, takes promise away from it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, like, I think he would do better as an intercontinental title, and I'd like to see him, and bear with me on this, change the intercontinental title. It is the oldest title wrestling has right now, in looks-wise.
But in fairness, Cody restored it to that.
Oh my god.
It was a fucking...
What are they going to do without Cody? But I think we're just about done.
No, one more thing.
You got some,
let's go
Goldberg. Okay, so for those of you who didn't catch it, where were you? So WWE 2K17 was announced with a fantastic ad for...
I did leak that spoiler.
They totally did.
I said I did.
You did?
To our group.
Oh, there you go.
Just to our group.
Just to the group. Again, if you haven't been there, B+ players, get on it. Check it out on Facebook. Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Even on YouTube, which you'll probably see this at the BPP Experience.
We don't have a Bebo though.
No, not yet. We'll get a Bebo. We'll get some Spotify as well. But no. So Goldberg was shown, smoke, lights from behind him, the whole ominous figure. Then he raised his head. It's Bill Goldberg, balding, and needs to dye that goatee, man. He's getting white in there.
You know what, man?
Being escorted by police.
Everyone saw the spoiler though. The the reverse text.
Oh yeah, so
Suplex
he
City.
passed the sign that said "This way to Suplex City."
Correct.
So okay,
Look. Okay.
Okay.
Wrestle-
Do we want to talk
let's-
about the first
Let's
match?
revisit WrestleMania 20.
Alright, here
Both
we go.
guys got booed out of the building. They have a chance to redeem that.
themselves.
However, I would like to see Goldberg face either John Cena, The Rock, or The Undertaker. That's my opinion. I think
okay.
if he loses to Taker, I'm not upset. If he comes back and he beats The Rock, I'll be very happy. If he comes back and beats Cena, I'll be very happy. Even if he beats Cena and then Cena beats him later, I'll be happy at that because he's putting someone over. However, I feel like the most logical, the match that makes most sense is the Lesnar rematch.
Okay, so
It's a marquee match. It's a match that they got shat all over, and I feel like it deserves a revisit because that match could have been something very special.
okay, so for the guys in the group, and not only that, the guys, wrestling fans who haven't been around for as long, we're talking about WrestleMania 20. There was a match held between Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. For those of you who don't know much about Bill Goldberg, all you need to know is this. He was a perfectly booked monster. A man who came to WCW first, went on a blitzing streak, didn't lose a friggin' match.
173 victories and
Boom.
And
So
who beat him?
that's all you
Kevin
need to
Nash.
know. He was never beaten in his entire career. It spanned across a couple of years in WCW and WWE.
No.
Or was it
It
just
was
WWE?
no. He got 173 and 0 in WCW,
There you go.
and the person that broke the streak was Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash, there you go. And then he came to WCW.
Horrible booking decision because Nash had creative control and he booked himself to break the streak. However, I was a Nash fan at the time, so I marked out
I was
hard.
a Goldberg guy.
See, I marked
Goldberg
out
guy.
hard for Nash. It was a horrible decision, really.
I was furious.
But
at the time.
as a kid, I was loving it.
Yeah.
Now, I was a big NWO Black and Red fan.
No, of course you were.
So, when he came to WWE, they fucked him. They made him look like they made him look stupid in his feud against The Rock. They just made him look dumb. Like I can't. There's no other word for it. He looked stupid against The Rock. What the biggest mistake they made with him was when he came back. He came into the Elimination Chamber. He cleaned house. He fucked everyone up. He kicked in the chamber doors.
He did exactly
He
what
pulled
he
him out.
used to do.
He ass kicked, and then they handcuff him to the cell, to the chamber or the rope or whatever it was, and they beat the shit out of him Evolution style. And I loved Evolution, but they beat the shit out of him, and they made him lose. And that was it. His momentum was gone.
That was
Triple
only
H
because
retains.
Vince and
Goldberg
that whole WWE, WCW.
exactly.
But
WWE has to go over one more time,
Of
just to
course.
fucking another nail in the coffin.
So,
But they got to Goldberg versus Lesnar, the marquee match, the two big guys.
yes, so, yeah,
But the
at
fans,
this time,
this is when the internet got really big, and the internet fans, the IWC, knew that both guys were leaving the company,
Lesnar
and
to
they
UFC
shat all
and-
over the match.
and Goldberg to
Back to the NFL.
Back to the NFL. And so essentially what happened was these two guys went in and to try and save the match, I think it was a last minute.
No, it was last
to
minute they
put
made
Stone
Austin
Cold
as a special guest.
guest. And then
The only prop the
basically,
match
yeah,
got
it
was
got-
when Austin came out as an entrance and when he stunned both of them at
Yep.
the end.
And
that
that
was the
was
only
it.
prop he got.
And it was,
I think he only stunned Goldberg. I can't remember.
it could have been probably one of the biggest
Could have
matches of all time. It could have been like Warrior versus Hogan big. And
Could have been
it
Savage
wasn't.
Steamboat big. It could have been
Could have
so
been huge,
fucking big.
but it
Could have been
wasn't.
Hogan versus The Rock big. Like that's what it should have been. It should have been two monsters colliding.
Yeah.
But instead, it just got fucked up.
Which is the thing was as well with that match. There was a lot of the whole like they're looking like they're gonna kiss deal. Remember when like the whole like nose to nose thing used to be a big in wrestling? We knew shit was about to get real, but look,
I think the
honestly-
main thing was, for me, it was like they literally went hold for hold, power move for power move, and then at the end it was he got F5'd, he kicked out, Goldberg gets up, jackhammers him, game over. And it was like, come on, man, like this two powerhouses in the prime of their careers. They can go, man. They can go.
Yeah.
And you know what? Goldberg's been very vocal about wanting to have one more match, wanting to have one more run. He wants his son to see him wrestle
once.
one more match.
Yeah.
I'm happy
Like,
for him.
okay, so
Happy for him. I said to you earlier when I was messaging you, or when we were in the car just driving up here, I said Lesnar a few years back, before he signed a deal with WWE, he was on the cover of 2K whatever it was,
15 or 14.
It would have been earlier.
Yeah,
I think.
that was the point I was going to bring up.
But Lesnar on the cover, he comes back to wrestle. He gets his part-time schedule where he's getting paid $6 million a year. Fuck you. Savage comes back into the game. He gets put into the Hall of Fame because he's dead, obviously. Warrior comes back onto the game. He comes back into the Hall of Fame, dies the next night, or 2 nights later after Raw. Heartbreaking. And then to a modern era, you've got Sting. Sting, who was put in the game, signed a deal, wrestled a match, very good. That's what we want. Like, I would love to see Goldberg get in the ropes again, man. I'd love to see one more wrestling.
I was going to say, as basically Geordie just stated, every person who's essentially been on the cover of WWE or been featured as a bonus character, a pre-ordered DLC or whatever, has actually come back to the WWE for either a match to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, etc., etc. So I was going to put the question to you, and actually put it to all the fans out and about in the world who watch this, all 60 of you. You know, if we can get the number higher to the hundreds, Geordie will eat his penis. So we've said
okay
again, but no, realistically, we.
That's what I want to eat it so bad.
Shit, your girlfriend's gonna hate you for this. But we asked the question realistically: what aspect would you like to see Goldberg come back in? Would you like to see him come back as almost the guy who's come in and gone, you know, I did all of this and I'm the big dude and rah rah, and, you know, like, you know, have that last run, have that last 3 months, 6 months, 1 year run, or would you rather see him come back in a more businessman style form, but not being the traditional businessman wearing like maybe just his traditional shirt and leather jacket?
I would hate to see that.
Yeah,
I would love to see Ryback come back at SummerSlam and be like, I'm the big guy, I'm this guy, I'm this, I'm that, rah rah rah. And then Goldberg comes out and says, oh, Ryback, you're next, and then fucks him up and jackhammers him, and the crowd starts shitting all over Ryback, cheering Goldberg, and bang, he's back, calls out Lesnar, he says, I want a rematch, I want this, I want that. Bang, he wants.
I would like him to shatter kayfabe in the sense
even
of
if
that
he comes
promo
back,
for Lesnar.
if he comes back, right? Hypothetically, Ryback comes back and he's like, I'm the big guy, I'm this, I'm that. Goldberg comes back, shits all over and says, you're next, fucks him up, and then he says, I want one more run. I want to be the world champion. I can prove it. I'm the best. I'm the best there ever was. Rah rah. And then he gets a world title match. And Lesnar interferes and fucks him up, and then they have their feud.
Yeah,
something. Just give us something
like that.
Redeem that match.
I think he could still do really well. I honestly think that Bill Goldberg could still go. For those of you who actually don't know who Bill Goldberg is, well, if you've seen The Longest Yard, he's the dude who they made the joke about having a really big.
The jackhammer.
Yeah.
The real jackhammer.
The real jackhammer. So his move, the jackhammer, essentially was like a. What did he do? He like lifted him up. Like, is an inverted suplex slam. Yeah. But
I will say
on finishing moves of the jackhammer before we just about wrap this up. Extreme Rules. I want to just cut back to it for a split second. The AJ Styles Roman Reigns match. Roman Reigns did a move which I actually think should be his new finisher. I've said it multiple times to a couple of people.
The cross powerbomb,
yeah, the razor's edge into that sit down powerbomb.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
great move.
The thing is, he's finishing it doing this fucking thing. By the way,
you know what?
That's Stone Cold Steve Austin's signal to the people who give him beers for beers.
I actually
don't take that from
when he did that cross powerbomb sit out thing,
I was like,
when he did it, I was like, holy fuck!
That's a fucking finishing maneuver.
When he put him up on his shoulder, I was thinking, Razor's Edge?
Yeah.
And then he did the bomb, I was like,
sit down power. I'm like, what the fuck?
In fairness, AJ sold the fuck out of it too.
Yeah, god, didn't he? But that, I think that should be his new finisher. Honest to God, that looks so good.
I will take it over his
I would call it the Empire's Fall.
Oh!
Fuck you!
Nah, I will say on a closing note, this is, it sound like this cast sounds like it's WWE exclusive. This particular episode is WWE exclusive.
Yeah, it is. But we are not.
What I will say is, if you haven't seen, I want to just touch on this for 30 seconds.
Go for it.
Okay?
Go for it.
If anybody has been out there today and seeing the post that I shared in the group with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy's promo for TNA.
Oh God,
TNA.
that hurt my heart.
TNA. Where do I begin? It is. TNA has cancer right now. TNA has cancer. That is the only thing I can say about it. Okay, TNA has cancer.
Name is Willow.
Unfortunately, there is not a cure for TNA. However, the wrestling quality in TNA is still good, but those promos are really, really bad.
Wayne, he said it.
What
it
I
had
think
to be
is
a fucking rehearsal. It was
Jeff
awful.
and Matt ripped a few billies beforehand, and they said, let's just fucking take the piss. And they just went out there and ripped that promo. Like they ripped that billy.
Look.
But I will say this, if you want to watch a good alternative to WWE, because WWE is not for everyone, I get extremely frustrated with WWE. My mate at work, Ben, will tell you he's a massive mark for Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground, agreed.
Lucha Underground. You have guys like Ricochet, aka Prince Puma.
Can we please talk quickly and just touch on that Ricochet versus Will Ospreay match in the Cruiserweight tournament for their version of the Cruiserweight tournament? So there is a GIF going around in all the wrestling community. If you follow any wrestling page on Facebook, you will have seen the GIF of these two dudes doing reversal after reversal after reversal.
You know what? That match I only just saw today. It actually got coverage on ESPN.
You're shitting me?
I'm not kidding.
Holy
not kidding.
fuck!
Got coverage on ESPN. It was the what's it called? The Korakuen Hall in Japan. They televised on ESPN. They said this is actually Ospreay tweeted saying, "Holy shit! I can't believe this got showed on ESPN." Rah rah. But I will say, I'm not a huge fan of all those flips. Like I do like them. Don't get me wrong. It's entertaining as hell. I just don't think it's believable to an extent. That's kind of why I like strong style so much.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a lot of realism. Like watching Nakamura perform, like Nakamura Zayn at Takeover. Fucking hell, what a match!
That is now the match I show to people who have never seen wrestling before.
If you've never seen wrestling, watch that match. But that's what I love. I love to watch that style. Yeah. So watching all those flips, I do like it. I enjoy it. I get entertainment out of it. But that's why I like watching Lucha Underground, because a 45-minute show to an hour max, and you can watch that, get your 45-minute fix of all these crazy flips and shit with production value, because they're promos that some people think they're cringeworthy because they're like soap operas, but I like it because I feel like it's something different. It's like WWE doesn't do that. They've got their own weird style that's lame, but they've got like more production in these Lucha Underground ones, which is more like a soap opera. And guys like Mundo, they've got the trios title, which is awesome. Like it's 6-man tag titles. I love the fact that you can have intergender matches. Like not a lot of people do like that, but in a world where everything can go, like in a wrestling world where everything can be real, why can't a woman beat up a man? Like who cares?
Look at China.
Matter. Yeah, exactly right. Look at China.
Wrestling bitch.
But yeah, I don't expect them to. Dominate the men or whatever. But it's cool that they can have intergender matches like that.
Yeah. So to put it basically, if you're a guy who seriously enjoys his technicality in the ring, which is me, I'm a big guy on ring psychology, which is something you don't see anymore, especially in the Fed Fed WWE. And things like that. I tend to tune more into New Japan as opposed to your Lucha Underground. However, if you're a massive fan of the theatrics behind wrestling, the whole like more storyline, soap opera based kind of stuff, that's where you're looking at Lucha Underground. And
it's a good alternative.
It really, really is. And then you also got brands like Ring of Honor, you know, who do a really good job.
I just wish, I just wish Ring of Honor was more televised. Like if I could,
it very well may be now with their upcoming maybe purchase of TNA. Like they're looking at,
you know what I mean?
They're looking at buying and then shutting it down.
All they have to do is take their roster.
Yep.
Any affiliation with TNA is cancer that's getting ready to spread. If Dixie Carter has any control of Ring of Honor,
then she's not going to.
Ring of Honor's dead. That's it.
Like from what I read, they're looking at just buying them out completely and just taking the televised spot. Just being like, oh, it's no longer TNA, it's Ring of Honor, cool, sweet, and then here's all the TNA guys. But
yeah. I think that's just about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but so
wrap it up.
Once again, welcome.
We're back.
We're a video podcast now. So
look, we had like a fucking near 2 month hiatus. I blame myself largely.
You
went overseas. I blame myself largely. Okay. Look, went overseas, went to Mania weekend, travelled fucking all America. It was a great trip. But I came back. I've been in work mode, just trying to buckle down work. Nick has been messaging me constantly, dying to do this podcast.
Yep.
I have been dying to do it. Trust me, I wanted to do it. It's just I've been exhausted with work. I'm back now. Let's do it. Video cast. We're going to get guests on the show.
Yep.
We're going to get a weekly guest, hopefully. That'd be nice.
Try to. So we do have, in the Australian Indies, like I've said earlier, there isn't really a third party who covers the indie wrestling. Coming up on, I believe it's June 23rd, 24th, we have, is it IPW? IWA, that might be
IWA
it.
and PWA.
Yeah, PWA, there you go. They have two shows
Two of the better
up.
brands. Like my boy James McMath, Robbie Eagles. PWA, love the guy so much.
We're going to try and get some guys to the show. If I'm not myself, maybe Geordie might go. We're going to try and get some backstage interviews, that sort of stuff. Try and get some stuff going with the boys. Try and get some more Australian wrestling out there. Because right now, in wrestling, WWE especially,
a lot of Aussies in there.
We have Emma. We have, is it Buddy Murphy? Is that the Blake? Blake? Blake.
Let's go with Buddy.
Yeah, one of the two.
He's our buddy.
He's
not really our buddy.
But we also have TM64 or 61. Who just debuted or are getting ready to debut. Their team, I believe they were known in our indies as Team, Don't Knee or something. They were a tag team who just getting into WWE now. They're getting onto NXT.
TDK.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know my Aussie pro wrestling. I'm sorry. I'm getting into it more.
He's skilled.
But yeah, so we are going to try and get some more. We are going to try and get into some more Australian indie stuff. Try and maybe get some guests on. Do some backstage interviews, get some live coverage of shows.
Even guys in the group, anyone in the group who is going to watch and
if you want to be here and
give us a subscribe.
Yeah.
If you're watching and you're in our group, if you want to be part, just flick us a message and just say, hey, do you mind if I come on next week's show? Just shoot us some shit that you want to talk about. We'll get you on here. We'll talk about it.
It's really not hard.
It's not hard.
I have a fridge full of booze.
We're just going to drink some cider or beer.
Beer, whatever you want to bring.
I prefer beer, but I'll have some ciders.
I'll get beer next time.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, you can
I'll
bring the
beer.
beer. You can bring the beer. I'll drink cider.
Right. On that note, cheers.
Oh, I'm out, but I'll cheers you an empty one.
Just clink me.
There you go.
Alright.
Also, just before we go, last one. Shirts are coming. We're going to run a competition. It's
We're going to do white and black.
We are doing white.
White and black of this, and we're going to redo the black ones as well, just for the people who don't have them. And we're probably going to do a B+ section.
I like it.
The Cesaro one was, look, it's the most popular vote so far, so that's why we're going to do it.
Yep.
But
and if you are an artist, send us a design of a shirt. Do it. But on that note, this is Nick, my boy Geordie, and we're bailing out, and we'll see you next time.